to see my friend John again and pick out some stumps for Kathy's table, and it was great looking around. Kathy picked some really awesome pieces. Of course, we did have to get them in the car. I might have overbought, but it all fit. It worked really well. Kathy picked a mesquite, which is the stump we're putting in now, and also a Willow Acacia, which is what we're going to focus on in this video. So first order of business was to get the bark off, and once I did, I sanded it kind of roughly, and this particular piece of wood has a lot of cracks, so taped it up and mixed some epoxy. It's a clear epoxy resin, but I thought we should put a fun color in there. Kathy likes blue, so I'm trying out this new pigment, and boy, does it make it dark. I had taped up all of the cracks, or at least the best that I could, and I would know on the first pour how well I did and how much more I would need, because I wasn't sure how big the cracks were and how, if they went all the way down to the bottom or if they branched out inside where I couldn't see it. So this is the first pour, and took every bit of the, I think it was a pint or so of the epoxy, and here I am popping bubbles just to try and get some of the air that's coming up to pop at the surface. So you can see here all that paper towel on the side. Those are leaks that were sprung, and they were sprung all over the place, so I kept having to chase all these little epoxy runs. This is pour number 2, and it also just sucked in completely with more leaks. And pour number 3, that was the magic number. You can see all the extra paper towel along the sides. Oh, what a mess. Even after those pours, and I started pulling some of the tape off, I realized there were other big cracks, so I was able to put it on its side and do a number of fills in some of those side cracks that didn't make it all the way up to the top. Next order of business was taking it outside and getting all the crap off the outside, which means the Tyvek tape, the extra epoxy there, and also all that paper towel that had just solidified because the epoxy just made it hard as a rock. So I had to get my chisel out and actually move it off of there. With most of it chiseled off, then I went to sanding. I started at 40 grit, actually 36 grit, just to get all that epoxy off. It's very, very time consuming, but as the epoxy evens out, or at least I get it off the top, the cracks start to show through, the blue cracks, which ended up looking really cool. Here's the top, all the epoxy coming off the top, and again, you can see that those cracks are just coming through really nicely. And then it rained, so I had to stop, and then it stopped raining, so I started again. This is wood filler on the bottom, I wanted to get it nice and filled in there, and some of the really deep cracks I filled with wood filler just shy of the surface so that I could put some CA glue on the top. So that's me just sanding all of that down on the sides and sanding it down on the bottom. So here I am with it on its side, and I have filled in some of the holes and some of the cracks that never filled with black epoxy and also clear epoxy to see the different looks and to have it, just give it some character. In between each of the grits, I have to wash it down with denatured alcohol to get rid of not only the dust but the grit from the sandpaper before. So I went from 3640 to 100 to 150 to 220 to finally a really nice 320 grit. Either after 220 or 320, you also need to wet the wood down slightly. What that does is it raises the pulp that will come up eventually, so you have to make sure you get it all sanded down a second time. And this is a polyurethane gloss. It will give it a slight amber hue, which I really liked. This wood was blonde, but it could have used just a little more of the color brought out, and I think it did a really good job. And I ended up putting about 4 coats on it all the way around. In between coats, I would sand it down with 320 or 400 grit to get some of the little fuzzies off, and then of course washed it down again with some water. That's the last coat of polyurethane going on, and you can see her mesquite stump in the background being prepared. That's the top, and this is the bottom. I put my brand on there, and it's all ready to roll. So here are a few little pics of what it looks like finished. I was really happy with how it turned out. I think it's gorgeous. Great choice, Kathy.